The Grand Council chamber had never felt smaller than it did that morning, and believe me, I had attended my share of uncomfortable meetings. My name is Vekron, senior diplomat of the Thalaxian Concordance, and I have spent the better part of 300 cycles navigating the political minefield of galactic governance. I thought I had seen everything: wars, plagues, economic collapses, the accidental destruction of an entire moon because someone forgot to carry the two in a calculation. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for the humans. The decision to invite Earth had been, in hindsight, spectacularly stupid. But you have to understand the context. The galactic community had been experiencing what our economists cheerfully called a period of unprecedented stability. No major conflicts, trade was booming, and the most exciting thing that had happened in the past decade was when the Quelix ambassador got drunk at a reception and tried to mate with a decorative plant. The plant, for the record, was more offended than anyone else, so naturally the council decided we needed to expand. More members meant more resources, more perspectives, more opportunities. The survey teams had been dispatched to the outer spiral arms, looking for species that had achieved faster than light travel or were on the cusp of it. Earth had been flagged as a candidate 6 months ago. I remember when the initial report came in, Commander Phylaxis, head of the survey team, had walked into the briefing room looking like he had seen a ghost, or several ghosts. Possibly an entire haunted house worth of ghosts. He had placed the datapad on the table with trembling appendages and said, just 5 words that should have been our warning. They live on a Deathworld. Now, Deathworld is a technical term in xenobiology. It refers to planets with extreme conditions, high gravity, dangerous predators, volatile weather patterns, that sort of thing. Most sentient species evolve on what we call garden worlds. Pleasant temperatures, stable climates, maybe a few dangerous animals, but nothing too extreme. My own home world of Thalaxi Prime is lovely. Perpetual spring, gentle rains. The most aggressive creature is a small herbivore that might nip your finger if you try to pet it. Earth, according to the report, was a nightmare factory wrapped in a thin veneer of breathable atmosphere. The gravity is 0.3 standard units higher than galactic average. Phylaxis had explained, his voice quavering. The oxygen content in the atmosphere is borderline toxic. The planet experiences regular seismic events, volcanic eruptions, massive storms capable of leveling entire settlements. The oceans contain enough salt to poison most known life forms, and they are filled with predators. The land masses are filled with predators. The air is filled with predators. There are even microscopic predators that live inside the larger predators. Fascinating, Council Prime Mectara had said, her dorsal fins fluttering with interest. And yet intelligent life evolved there? Not just evolved, Prime, thrived. The humans are apex predators themselves. They have forward-facing eyes designed for hunting. Their hands can grip with enough force to crush most standard materials. They can run for extended periods without rest. A persistence hunting trait that apparently drove their prey to exhaustion over days of pursuit. And Prime. They have a fear response that, instead of triggering flight, often triggers aggression. The room had gone very quiet. How many of them are there? Someone had asked. Approximately 9 billion on their homeworld alone. They have colonized their entire planet, established outposts on their moon, and have sent probes to the outer reaches of their star system. Mectara had leaned back in her seat. Considering, and their technology level, they achieved nuclear fission 70 of their years ago. They have computers, satellites, advanced manufacturing. They are probably 2, maybe 3 decades from achieving basic FTL capability on their own. So we could bring them in now, guide their development, integrate them peacefully into the community. Mectara had smiled then, the same smile I imagine prey see right before being eaten. It would be a remarkable achievement. The first Deathworld species in the galactic community. I had kept my mouth shut during that meeting. I was not stupid enough to openly oppose the Council Prime, but I had thought very loudly inside my own head that this was a terrible idea. You do not invite apex predators into your home and expect them to play nice. But democracy, or our version of it anyway, had prevailed. The vote was called. The measure passed. And now, 6 months later, I was standing in the arrival bay waiting for Earth's representative to arrive. The ship came through the portal with less fanfare than I expected. It was a small craft, sleek but clearly functional rather than decorative. Human design philosophy apparently did not waste time with aesthetic considerations. The hull was a dull gray, marked only with some symbols I could not read and what looked like paint scraping from atmospheric entry. The docking clamps engaged. The airlock cycled, and I felt my breathing sacs constrict with anxiety. "Relax, Vekron," whispered Othara, my assistant. She was young, only 50 cycles old, and had the kind of optimism that comes from never having experienced true disaster. How bad could it be? One human. What are they going to do, eat us? I did not answer because I was not entirely sure the answer was no. The airlock door opened with a hiss of equalizing pressure, and the human walked out. Let me tell you something about seeing a human for the first time in person. The videos do not do them justice. They cannot capture the way they move, the casual confidence of something that has never had to worry about being prey. The representative was tall, probably 2 full head heights above me, and built with the kind of solid muscle that comes from actually using your body rather than relying on technology for everything. The human wore what I would later learn was called a suit. Dark blue fabric that fit precisely, probably formal wear by their standards. But what struck me immediately were the eyes, forward-facing. Like the report said, with a predator's focus, and when those eyes swept across the assembled crowd in the arrival bay, I swear I felt my ancestors screaming at me to run. "Greetings," the human said, and even the voice was wrong. Deep, with harmonics that suggested vocal cords designed to roar across vast distances. "I am Marcus Webb, representative of the United Earth Coalition. Thank you for the invitation to address the galactic community." Protocol dictated that I step forward and offer the formal welcome. My legs disagreed with protocol, but I forced them to move anyway. "Welcome, Representative Webb. I am Vekron of Thalaxi Prime, your assigned liaison during your stay. On behalf of the Council, we are honored to host you." Marcus Webb extended his hand. I stared at it for a moment, trying to remember the briefing on human greeting customs. Right? They grasp appendages, physical contact as a sign of peaceful intent. I reached out my own manipulator and felt his fingers close around it. The grip was gentle, carefully controlled, but I could feel the strength behind it. This being could have crushed every bone in my hand without visible effort. Instead, he shook it twice, up and down motion, then released me. "Pleased to meet you, Vekron," he said, and I detected something in his expression, a slight upturn of the lips, a smile. Humans bared their teeth when happy. Why would evolution design a species that showed happiness the same way most species showed aggression? "I have been looking forward to this meeting for months, as have we all," I managed, trying to keep my voice steady. "If you will follow me, I will show you to your quarters. The formal council session begins tomorrow, so you will have time to rest and acclimate." "That would be great." The ship's berth was not exactly designed for long-term comfort. As we walked through the station, I became aware of the effect Marcus Webb had on everyone we passed. Conversations stopped. People froze. I saw more than one species, visibly pale, their equivalent of blood draining from extremities. Aquelix actually fainted, dropping to the floor in a graceless heap. Marcus noticed. Of course he noticed. Those predator eyes missed nothing. "Am I making people uncomfortable?" he asked, his tone suggesting genuine concern. "You are. The first of your kind most of them have ever seen," I said diplomatically. "They are simply curious." "Uh-huh." He did not sound convinced. "I read the briefing materials your people sent. I know what a Deathworld classification means. I am guessing the locals are not used to seeing something from one." His directness was refreshing, if terrifying. "That is accurate. Should I have brought a smaller representative? Someone less intimidating?" I considered lying. Diplomacy is often built on polite fictions, but something about Marcus Webb suggested he would appreciate honesty more than courtesy. "Honestly, Representative Webb, I am not sure it would have mattered. The issue is not your physical appearance, though that is certainly part of it. The issue is what you represent. Humans evolved in an environment that would kill most of us within hours. Your species adapted, thrived, became the dominant life form on a planet actively trying to kill you. That is unsettling to those of us from gentler worlds." We reached the guest quarters, and I palmed the access panel. The door slid open, revealing accommodations I had personally ensured were prepared to Earth standard specifications. Higher gravity plating, oxygen enrichment, even furniture designed to support human weight distribution. Marcus walked in, surveyed the room, and nodded approvingly. "This is excellent. Thank you. You clearly did your homework." We try to be good hosts. I appreciate it. He moved to the window, looking out at the station exterior and the starfield beyond. Beautiful view. Your station design is impressive. Thank you. It has served us well for many generations. There was a pause. Marcus kept looking out the window, and I found myself studying him, trying to understand what made humans so different. They looked almost normal, if you ignored the predator tells, bipedal bilateral symmetry, standard sensory organs, but there was something else, something harder to define. An energy, maybe, a sense that even standing still they were poised for action. Vekron, can I ask you something? Marcus said, not turning from the window. Of course. Why did the Council really invite Earth? I mean, I read the official reasoning. Expansion, diversity of perspective, mutual benefit. But there is another reason, is there not? You are testing something. I felt my breathing sacs constrict again. The human was perceptive. Dangerously so. That is a very direct question, Representative Webb. I prefer direct. Saves time. Now he did turn, fixing me with those unsettling eyes. Your people have been at peace for a long time. Stable, safe, and safety can make you soft. You want to see if bringing in a species like mine disrupts that comfort. You want to see if we are a threat, or if we can be controlled, integrated, made useful. I said nothing, which was answer enough. Marcus smiled again, teeth showing. It is okay. I get it. We do the same thing back home. Test the new guy, see what they are made of. Just be careful what you test, Tet. You might not like what you find. That sounded like a threat. It probably was a threat, but Marcus delivered it with such casual friendliness that I could not determine if he was warning me or challenging me. I will leave you to rest, I said, backing toward the door. If you need anything, use the comm panel. I will return in the morning to escort you to the council chamber. Sounds good? And Vekron, thank you for being honest with me. I appreciate it. I left quickly, the door sealing behind me with a solid thunk. Altara was waiting in the corridor, her sensor stalks quivering with excitement. So, what do you think? I think, I said slowly, that we have made a terrible mistake. The next morning arrived too quickly. I had barely slept, my mind racing with scenarios of how the council session might go wrong. Would Marcus be aggressive? Dismissive? Would he offend someone important? Would someone offend him? And would we discover exactly what a human looked like when angry? I collected him at the appointed time and we made our way through the station toward the council chamber. More crowds gathered, more stares, more whispers. Marcus ignored them all with practiced ease. Either he was genuinely unbothered, or he was very good at pretending. With humans, it was impossible to tell. How are you feeling? I asked, making conversation. Nervous, he admitted. This is kind of a big deal. First contact between Earth and a galactic civilization. No pressure or anything. You seem calm for someone who is nervous. Humans are good at functioning under stress. We kind of have to be. We reached the council chamber and the doors parted to reveal the assembled representatives of 43 species. The chamber was designed to impress, with a domed ceiling that displayed a real-time view of the galaxy, slowly rotating. Seats were arranged in a wide circle, each delegation positioned equally to emphasize the collaborative nature of galactic governance. The room fell silent as Marcus entered. 43 species, hundreds of individuals, all turning to stare at the human walking calmly to the center of the chamber. Council Prime Mektara rose from her seat, her ceremonial robes flowing. Representative Marcus Webb of Earth, you are welcome to this council. You stand as the first of your kind to address the galactic community. We hope this marks the beginning of a long and fruitful relationship between our peoples. Marcus bowed slightly, a gesture of respect. Thank you, Prime Mektara. Earth is honored by this invitation, and I am humbled to speak for my people. Before we begin formal discussions, Mektara continued, it is traditional for new candidates to answer questions from the council. This allows us to better understand your species, your culture, your values. Is this acceptable? Completely acceptable, Marcus said, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber despite not being amplified. Projection, I realized. Humans were good at making themselves heard. Mektara gestured to the assembly. Then let us begin. Who wishes to pose the first question? A dozen hands, appendages, tentacles and other limbs rose. Mektara selected Ambassador Rill of the Fintak Confederation, a species known for their scientific achievements and unfortunately short tempers. Earl stood, his carapace gleaming under the chamber lights. Representative Webb, I will be direct. Your species evolved through violent competition. Your history is filled with warfare, genocide, environmental destruction. Why should we trust that you will not bring that violence here? It was a hostile opening, designed to put Marcus on the defensive. I tensed, waiting for the response. Marcus did not flinch. You should not trust us, he said simply, not blindly. Anyway, trust is earned, not given. And you are right, Ambassador Rial. We have a violent history. We have fought wars, committed atrocities, nearly destroyed our own planet more than once. But we also learned from those mistakes. We built international cooperation, established laws, created systems to prevent conflict. We are not perfect, but we are trying, and that is all any species can do. Try to be better than we were yesterday. The chamber was silent. Rill sat down, looking somewhat deflated. Another hand rose. Ambassador Corinth of the Sabalex Unity, a species that resembled nothing so much as a floating jellyfish, pulsed with bioluminescent color. Your planet is classified as a death world. How has this influenced your species' development? Marcus considered the question. It made us resilient, adaptable. Earth does not forgive weakness or complacency. If you stop fighting, stop adapting, you die. That shaped not just our biology but our helixy. We are problem solvers by necessity. We see obstacles as challenges to overcome, not reasons to give up. Some might call that stubbornness. We call it survival. More questions followed, each one probing, testing, trying to find weakness or malice. And each time Marcus answered with the same calm honesty, neither aggressive nor different. He acknowledged humanity's flaws without apologizing for them. He described Earth's dangers without bragging about surviving them. I realized with growing surprise, being diplomatic. Then Ambassador Colleth of the Vrynn Collective stood. The Vrynn were insectoid, their society organized around strict hierarchies and absolute obedience to authority. Colleth's question was pointed. Your species values something you call freedom, individual liberty. How can a society function when individuals prioritize their own desires over collective good? Marcus's expression changed. Not much, just a subtle hardening around the eyes. Freedom does not mean selfishness, Ambassador. It means the right to make your own choices, pursue your own path, speak your own mind. Yes, we value the individual, but we also understand community, cooperation, sacrifice. Humans have died by the millions defending not just their own freedom, but the freedom of others. We have built societies where individuals can disagree, debate, argue, and still work together toward common goals. It is messy, inefficient, frustrating, and I would not trade it for anything. There was passion in his voice now, carefully controlled but unmistakable. Coleth's antenna twitched with what I recognized as irritation, chaos masquerading as order. Your system will collapse. Maybe, Marcus said, shrugging. But it has lasted this long, and I will take messy freedom over neat slavery any day. Oh no. That was a direct insult to Vrynn society. Coleth's carapace flushed dark red, a sign of extreme anger. The tension in the chamber spiked dramatically. You dare, Coleth hissed, mandibles clicking. You dare insult the collective. I dare state my opinion, Marcus replied, voice still calm. You asked about freedom. I answered. If you find the answer insulting, perhaps you should examine why. Coleth took a step forward, a threat display. Several other Vrynn representatives rose from their seats, and I saw Marcus's posture shift. It was subtle, his weight redistributed. His hands moved slightly away from his sides, his eyes tracked every moving Vrynn in the chamber. He had gone from diplomat to predator in the space of a heartbeat, and suddenly I understood why humans were apex predators on their world. Enough. Maktara's voice cut through the tension like a blade. Ambassador Colleth, control yourself. Representative Webb, please remember you are a guest here. Of course, Marcus said, relaxing fractionally. My apologies if I caused offense, Prime. I was simply answering honestly. Colleth sat down, still glowering, but the other Vrynn resumed their seats as well. The crisis had passed. For now, the questions continued, though more carefully now. Everyone had seen what happened when you pushed the human too hard. There was danger there, leashed but present. The predator was willing to be civilized, but only up to a point. Finally, after what felt like hours, Mektara called for a recess. The council would deliberate and vote on Earth's admission in private session. Marcus was escorted back to his quarters, and I sagged with relief. That was intense, Ulthera said. That was a disaster barely avoided. I corrected. Did you see him when Kaleth threatened? I thought we were going to have our first murder in the council chamber, but he did not attack. He showed restraint. This time. But what about next time? What happens when someone pushes harder? I did not have an answer. And based on the worried expressions on the faces of the other delegates filing out of the chamber, neither did anyone else. The deliberation lasted through the night. I was not privy to the discussions, being merely a liaison rather than an actual voting member, but I could hear the shouting from outside the sealed chamber. The council was divided. Marcus spent the time in his quarters, apparently unbothered by the wait. I checked on him once and found him reading something on a datapad, completely relaxed. How could he be so calm? His entire species' future relationship with the galaxy hung in the balance. They are probably arguing about me, he said without looking up when I entered. That is not, I cannot comment on council deliberations. It is okay, I would be arguing too if I were them. Now he did look up and that slight smile appeared again. Let me guess. Half of them want to bring us in, think we can be useful allies. The other half thinks we are too dangerous, want to quarantine Earth and hope we never develop FTL on our own. His accuracy was disturbing. You seem to understand politics well. Humans invented politics. Or maybe politics invented humans. It is hard to say. Either way, we have been playing this game for thousands of years. And which side do you think will win? Marcus leaned back in his chair, considering. Honestly, the fear side. People always choose safety over opportunity when given the chance. The council will vote to reject Earth's admission. They will be polite about it, offer some face-saving reasoning, maybe promise to reconsider in a few decades. But the answer will be no. I said nothing because I suspected he was right. The summons came at dawn. All parties were to return to the council chamber for the announcement of the decision. I collected Marcus, who had apparently slept soundly and looked disgustingly refreshed. We walked to the chamber in silence. Marcus seemed unconcerned. I was a nervous wreck. The council was assembled, all representatives in their places. Mektara stood at the center, her expression unreadable. Representative Marcus Webb, she began formally. The galactic community has considered Earth's petition for admission. We have debated your species' qualities, capabilities, and compatibility with our values. It has been a challenging discussion. Here it comes, I thought, the gentle rejection. However, Mektara continued, and my heart skipped. We have reached a decision. She paused, and the silence stretched. Marcus waited, patient as stone. The council has voted to approve Earth's conditional admission to the galactic community. The chamber exploded with noise, shouting, protests, cheers, all blending into chaos. I stood frozen, unable to process what I had just heard. They had actually done it. They had approved the application. Marcus smiled, and this time it was a genuine expression of joy. Thank you, Prime Mektara. Earth accepts these terms and looks forward to working with all of you. Mektara raised a hand for silence. Understand, Representative Webb, that this admission is conditional. Earth will be monitored closely. Any sign of aggression, any violation of our laws, and the decision will be reconsidered. We are taking a risk on your species. I understand, Marcus said, and I promise you will not regret this decision. As the session ended and delegates began filing out, I approached Marcus. Congratulations, I said, still somewhat stunned. You did it. We did it, he corrected. Thank you for your help, Vekron. I know this was not easy for you. To be honest, I voted internally against this. I admitted, I thought you were too dangerous. And now, I looked at him. This human from a Deathworld, this apex predator in a suit. I still think you are dangerous, but maybe that is what the galaxy needs. Someone to shake things up. Remind us that the universe is not actually safe. Marcus laughed, a deep, genuine sound. Well, in that case, you are going to love meeting the rest of humanity. That statement filled me with more dread than anything else he had said. Because if Marcus Webb, calm and diplomatic Marcus Webb, was representative of his species, then what would the rest of them be like? I was about to find out. Because Earth had just joined the galactic community. And nothing would ever be the same again. 3 months after Earth's admission to the galactic community, I still woke up every morning hoping the previous quarter had been a fever dream. It had not been. The humans were here and they were enthusiastically integrating themselves into galactic society. Marcus Webb had returned to Earth after the initial admission ceremony, promising to send proper diplomatic staff within weeks. He had kept that promise. Unfortunately, he had sent 20 diplomats instead of one. 20 humans, spread across various embassies and council stations, all equally terrifying in their own unique ways. I had been assigned to continue as primary liaison, a job I had not asked for and definitely did not want. But apparently my successful handling of Marcus Webb had impressed someone important. Lucky me. The human embassy on Station Nexus, our capital diplomatic hub, had become something of a spectacle. Species from across the galaxy would find excuses to walk past it, gawking like tourists at a zoo. The humans, to their credit, took it in stride. They even set up what they called an open house, inviting anyone curious to come inside and ask questions. Hundreds showed up. Thousands, actually. The station security had to implement crowd control measures. I attended out of professional obligation and morbid curiosity. The embassy interior had been decorated with items from Earth, pictures of landscapes that looked like artistic renderings of alien worlds until you realized they were actual photographs. Mountains, oceans, forests, deserts, all from one planet. The diversity was staggering. The human in charge of the embassy was a woman named Director Keisha Okonkwo, and she was possibly more intimidating than Marcus Webb, which I had not thought possible. She stood nearly as tall, moved with the same predatory grace, but had eyes that seemed to calculate 17 different outcomes to every conversation before you finished speaking. "Vekron, good to see you," she said when I arrived, extending that hand gesture humans loved. I had gotten better at the handshake over the past months. My bones only ached slightly afterward now. "Director Okonkwo, the turnout is impressive. People are curious. We do not blame them. If the situation were reversed, Earth would be just as interested." She gestured around the crowded room. "Come on, let me introduce you to some of the team." She led me through the crowd, pointing out various humans. There was Junior Ambassador Paulo Ferreira, who specialized in trade negotiations and had apparently already secured 3 major commercial deals. There was Cultural Liaison Yuki Tanaka, who was documenting everything she saw with the enthusiasm of someone who had just been handed the keys to a library of infinite knowledge. There was Military Advisor Colonel Thomas Briggs, a scarred veteran who made even other humans nervous. "Military Advisor?" I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral. "Is that necessary?" "Every embassy has security personnel," Keisha said reasonably. "Colonel Briggs coordinates our protection detail." Of course. I did not mention that most embassy security consisted of 3 or 4 trained guards. The humans had brought 15, all of whom looked like they could individually conquer a small moon. The open house continued for hours. Aliens asked questions. Humans answered patiently. What did Earth look like? Dangerous and beautiful. What did humans eat? Almost anything organic, which horrified several herbivorous species. How long did humans live? 80 to 100 years on average, which was short by galactic standards, but the humans seemed unbothered by it. Then someone asked the question I had been dreading. What do humans do for fun? Yuki Tanaka, bless her enthusiastic heart, pulled up a video compilation. Sports, she called it. Humans engaging in recreational activities. I watched with growing horror as the images played. Humans throwing themselves out of aircraft and falling through the sky, pulling a parachute at the last possible moment. Humans strapping boards to their feet and sliding down mountains covered in frozen water. Humans climbing sheer rock faces without safety equipment. Humans entering cages to fight each other with padded gloves, while crowds cheered. "You do this for entertainment?" Ambassador Krill of the Paxson Federation asked, his gills fluttering with distress. "Some of us, yeah," Yuki said cheerfully. "Humans like challenges. We get bored easily, so we invent ways to test ourselves. That seems unnecessarily dangerous." "Oh, these are the safe activities. You should see extreme sports." There were more extreme versions. I decided I did not want to know. The evening wound down eventually and the crowd dispersed. I stayed behind helping Keisha organize some of the informational materials. It had become a routine. The humans appreciated my help, and I appreciated the opportunity to keep an eye on them. You are worried about something, Keisha said, not looking up from the datapad she was reviewing. You have been tense all evening. Was I that obvious? Just adjusting. This is all very new. Vekron, we have been working together for 3 months. You can be honest with me. I hesitated, then decided she was right. Directness seemed to work with humans. I am waiting for the other shoe to drop. Shoe? Human expression. It means waiting for something bad to happen. Ah. She smiled slightly. You think we are going to cause problems. I think you are Deathworlders in a society of garden worlders. Eventually there will be friction, conflict. And I do not know how that will end. Keisha set down her data pad and fixed me with that calculating stare.
Vekron.
Can I tell you something about humans? We are really good at adapting. It is kind of our thing. We can live in deserts, jungles, Arctic tundra, even underwater with the right equipment. We can eat almost anything, speak hundreds of languages, believe in thousands of different philosophies. We are not going to cause problems just because we are different. We are going to find ways to fit in. And if someone does not want you to fit in, if someone tries to force you out, then we will deal with that when it happens. But we would prefer not to have to. She paused. We came here hoping to make friends, Vekron, not enemies. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But 300 cycles of diplomatic experience had taught me that good intentions only carried you so far. As it turned out, I did not have to wait long for complications to arise. The incident occurred 6 weeks later. A Vrynn collective transport ship, the Harmonious Purpose, disappeared while traveling through the Kelarath sector. One day it was transmitting regular status updates, the next day it was simply gone. No distress signal, no debris field, nothing. The Vrynn immediately blamed pirates. The Kelarath sector had a reputation for being dangerous, sitting at the intersection of 3 territorial claims and home to several known criminal organizations. But the Harmonious Purpose had been a heavily armed military transport. Whatever took it down had serious firepower. The council convened an emergency session. I attended as an observer, sitting in the liaison section with representatives from non-voting member species. The human delegations sat in their newly assigned seats, looking attentive but relaxed. Council Prime Mektara opened the session with grim efficiency. We face a crisis. The Venom Collective has lost a military transport with 200 crew members aboard. Ambassador Koleth, please brief the council. Koleth stood, his carapace darker than usual, stress markers visible on his exoskeleton. The Harmonious Purpose was transporting critical supplies to our colony on Vrynn Secondary. It entered the Kelarath sector as scheduled and vanished. We have searched for 3 days. Nothing. No wreckage, no survivors, no trace. Pirates could not take down a military vessel that cleanly someone objected, which is why we suspect something more dangerous. Possibly a rival species testing new weapons. Possibly an unknown hostile force. The chamber erupted into worried chatter. Unknown hostiles were every spacefaring civilization's nightmare. The galaxy was big, and most of it remained unexplored. Something could be out there, watching, waiting. What action do you propose? Mektara asked. The collective requests council authorization to send a battle fleet into the Kelarath sector. We will find what happened to our people and eliminate the threat. More debate. Battle fleets meant military action, which meant potential escalation. Several species objected on principle, others worried about the cost. The Vrynn grew more agitated with each passing minute. Then Keisha Okonkwo stood. Council Prime, if I'm... The chamber went quiet. The humans had not spoken during council sessions yet, still feeling out their role as junior members. Every species turned to look at Director Okonkwo. You may speak, Mektara said cautiously. Earth offers our assistance in locating the missing vessel. We have experience with search and rescue operations in hostile environments. Koleth's antennae twitched irritably. With respect, Director, this is a military matter. What could Earth possibly contribute? Speed and efficiency, Keisha replied calmly. Our ships are smaller and faster than standard council vessels. We can enter the sector, conduct reconnaissance, and report back within days rather than weeks. No military action, no escalation, just information gathering. And if you encounter hostiles, then we run. Humans are very good at running when necessary. Several species made sounds that might have been laughter. Galactic did not look amused. The collective does not need charity from newcomers. It is not charity, Ambassador, it is cooperation, mutual aid, the kind of thing community members do for each other. Keisha's tone remained diplomatic, but I detected steel underneath. Unless you would prefer to wait several weeks while a battle fleet is assembled, all while your people might still be alive and waiting for rescue. That struck home. Kolath sat down heavily, mandibles clicking in agitation, but he did not object further. Nektara considered. Erector Okonkwo, this is irregular. Earth has only been a member for 4 months. Asking you to undertake a dangerous mission seems premature. Premature would be letting 200 beings die because we were too worried about protocol, Keisha said. We are offering help. Take it or leave it, but decide quickly. Every hour matters. The vote was called. Surprisingly, it passed. The humans were authorized to conduct a search operation in the Kelrath sector. I suspected most council members were curious to see what the Deathworlders could actually. I cornered Keisha after the session. Are you insane? You just volunteered to fly into a sector that ate a military transport. We volunteered to look for survivors, she corrected. Big difference. What if there are hostiles? What if whatever took down that ship comes after you? Then we deal with it. She saw my expression and softened slightly. Vekron, I appreciate your concern, but this is what humans do. Someone needs help. We help. It is not complicated. It is suicidal. Maybe, but it is the right thing to do, so we are doing it. She walked away, leaving me standing there wondering if humans had some sort of genetic defect that prevented them from recognizing danger. 2 days later, I watched from the station observation deck as 3 human ships prepared to depart. They were different from any vessels I had seen before. Sleek, angular, built for speed rather than comfort. The lead ship was called the Resilient, captained by someone named Helena Vasquez. You should come with us, a voice said behind me. I turned to find Colonel Thomas Briggs standing there, arms crossed over his chest. The military advisor was built like a combat vehicle, and had the personality of one too. We had not interacted much, which had been fine with me. I am sorry. What? Come with us. Liaison duty includes observing operations. Right. Here is an operation to observe. I am not a soldier, Colonel. I am a diplomat. Good. We have enough soldiers. We could use someone who understands how the Council thinks, how other species might react to what we find. He shrugged. Besides, might help to have a friendly alien face along. Show we are working cooperatively. Every instinct I had screamed at me to refuse. But he was right about one thing. Having a council liaison present would make this look more official, less like humans going rogue. I will need to request permission, I said weakly. Already done. Miktura approved it an hour ago. Of course she did. The Council Prime was probably curious to see if I would survive. 6 hours later, I was strapped into an acceleration couch aboard the Resilient, wondering what series of life decisions had led me to this moment. The human crew moved around me with practiced efficiency, preparing for departure. They all wore uniforms in dark blue and gray, fitted precisely to their forms. Military discipline, I realized. These were not civilian explorers. These were trained soldiers. Captain Helena Vasquez entered the bridge, and I immediately understood why she commanded this ship. She was shorter than most humans I had met, but carried herself with absolute authority. Her hair was pulled back severely, and her eyes swept the bridge with the kind of focus that missed nothing. Status? She asked. All systems green, Captain. Course plotted for the Kelrath sector. Estimated travel time 30 hours. Crew? All present and ready. Liaison. I raised a manipulator weakly. Present and terrified, Captain. She smiled slightly. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. Strap in, everyone. Let us go find some lost souls. The departure was nothing like the gentle acceleration of standard council vessels. The Resilient leaped forward like a predator pouncing, and I felt the G-forces press me into my couch despite the inertial dampeners. My vision grayed at the edges. Sorry about the rough start, Helena said over the intercom. We believe in getting places quickly. Quickly was an understatement. As we cleared the station and jumped to faster-than-light travel, I checked our velocity and felt my breathing sacs constrict. We were moving at nearly double standard safe speeds. At this rate, we would reach the Kelrath sector in less than a day. Is this normal? I asked the crew member at the station next to me. For us, yeah. Human ships are built for speed, We figured out early that in space fast usually means safe. And if you hit something at these speeds, then we hit it really hard. But our sensors are good. We will see obstacles long before they see us. That was not as comforting as he seemed to think it was. The journey gave me time to interact with the crew. There were 40 humans aboard, each with specific roles. Engineers, pilots, medical personnel, communication specialists, and a full squad of what they called Marines. Lullers trained for boarding actions and ground combat. You think we will need to board something? I asked Lieutenant Marcus Chen, who commanded the Marine squad. Hope not, he said cheerfully. But if we do, we will be ready. Marines adapt to any situation. That seems to be a common human trait. Adapting. It is how we survived long enough to get off our planet. Earth does not forgive mistakes, so we learned to be flexible. Probably served us better than any technology we developed. I was beginning to understand that. Humans did not have the most advanced chips, the most powerful weapons, or the most sophisticated sensors. But they had something else. Resilience. The ability to take a hit and keep moving forward. We dropped out of FTL at the edge of the Kelrath sector right on schedule. The bridge crew immediately went to work, sensors sweeping space for any sign of the missing transport. Anything? Helena asked. Negative, Captain. No ships, no debris, no energy signatures. Expand search grid. Full passive sensors. I do not want us broadcasting our location. Aye, Captain. Hours passed. I watched the humans work with growing respect. They were efficient, coordinated, professional. Every action had purpose. No wasted movement, no unnecessary conversation, just focused execution. Contact, the sensor operator said suddenly, bearing 27 Mark III. Looks like wreckage. Can you identify? Not yet. Too much interference. Could be the harmonious purpose. Could be something else. Take us in. Slow and careful. I want full scans before we get too close. The Resilient crept forward and I felt tension fill the bridge. Everyone was alert, ready for trouble. I tried to emulate their calm but suspected I was failing miserably. The wreckage came into view on the main display. It was definitely a ship, or had been. Large sections of hull were missing. Entire decks exposed to vacuum. I saw bodies floating among the debris, frozen and lifeless. Vrynn ship confirmed. The sensor operator said quietly. Transponder matches the harmonious purpose. Helena's expression hardened. Any survivors? Scanning now. Wait, yes. I am reading life signs. Faint, but present. Looks like an emergency shelter near the engineering section. Maybe 15. No 20 individuals. 20 out of 200. Helena stood. All right, people. We have survivors to rescue. Chen, prep your Marines for boarding action. Medical, prepare to receive casualties. Engineering, I want you checking every inch of that wreck before we bring anyone aboard. If whatever did this is still around, I want to know. The crew moved with practiced precision. I watched in amazement as the humans organized a full rescue operation in minutes. The Resilient maneuvered alongside the wreckage, extending docking tubes toward the emergency shelter location. Lieutenant Chen and his Marines suited up in what they called hard suits, powered armor, essentially, turning each Marine into a walking tank. They moved through the docking tube and into the wreckage, weapons ready. Clear. Chen's voice came over the comm. No hostiles present. Shelter is intact, but losing atmosphere slowly. We need to move fast. I watched through helmet cameras as the Marines breached the shelter door. Inside, Vrynn crew members huddled together, their carapaces dull from stress and dehydration. They looked up in confusion as armored humans enter their refuge. Easy, Chen said, his translator rendering his words into standard. We are from the Galactic Council. We are here to get you out. The Vrynn seemed too exhausted to question it. They allowed themselves to be led through the wreckage to the docking tube and aboard the Resilient. Medical personnel immediately began treating them, providing water, oxygen, stabilizing injuries. One of the Vrynn, an officer based on her uniform markings, grabbed Helena's arm as she passed. You came? How did you know? Your people asked for help. We came to provide it. But you are human. You are new. Why would you risk this? Helena smiled slightly. Because that is what you do for family. And we are all family now, whether some species like it or not. The Vrynn officer made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. We were attacked. Something came out of nowhere. fast, aggressive, boarded us before we could react. They took the ship, took most of the crew, left us here to die. Who took them? I do not know. Pirates, maybe, but organized, professional. They knew what they wanted. Elena exchanged glances with her first officer. Did you see what direction they went? Yes. Deeper into the sector, toward the unmapped regions. Of course they did. Helena turned to her crew. All right, change of plans. We are not just extracting survivors. We are tracking these pirates and reporting their location. Set course following the attack vector. Full stealth protocols. Captain, regulations say we should return the survivors to safety first. Her first officer objected. Regulations also say we should locate threats to shipping. 200 Vrynn are still out there. Probably alive. We are finding them. I should have protested. This was beyond our mission parameters. But I found myself staying silent, because Helena was right. They could not just abandon the other Vrynn. We followed the trail deeper into the Kelrath sector, the resilience sensors operating in passive mode to avoid detection. The humans called it going dark. No active scans, no communications, minimal power output. We were a ghost ship hunting other ghosts. 3 hours later we found them. Contact. The sensor operator whispered, as if the enemy could hear us through vacuum. Multiple ships. Looks like a base of operations. Station built into an asteroid. How many ships? Counting at least 20. Various sizes. And Captain, I am reading Vrynn life signs. Lots of them. They are holding prisoners. Helena studied the tactical display, her expression calculating. 20 ships against 1. Not good odds. But we do not need to fight them. We just need to get this information back to the Council. Agreed. Setting course back to... Wait. Helena held up a hand. They are moving. Powering up engines. I think they spotted us. The bridge erupted into controlled chaos. How is that possible? We are running silent. Does not matter. Evasive maneuvers. Get us out of here. Now. The Resilient banked hard, accelerating away from the pirate base. But 3 of their ships gave chase, moving with frightening speed. They are fast, the pilot said, strain evident in her voice. We are faster? Prove it. What followed was the most terrifying 20 minutes of my life. The Resilient twisted and dove through space, using asteroid fields for cover, venting waste heat in calculated bursts to confuse sensors, pulling maneuvers that should have torn the ship apart. The human crew worked with absolute focus, each member anticipating what the others needed. But the pirates were good. They stayed with us, closing the distance slowly but inevitably. They are going to get weapons locked soon, the tactical officer reported. Helena made a decision. Fine. If they want to fight, let us give them one. Come about. Target their lead ship. Fire everything we have, then run while they are recovering. Captain, we are a scout ship, not a warship. I know what we are, Lieutenant. Do it. The Resilient spun reversed course, and suddenly we were racing toward our pursuers instead of away. The pirates, surprised by the suicidal maneuver, hesitated for just a second. It was enough. Every weapon the Resilient carried fired simultaneously. Missiles, energy beams, kinetic rounds, all focused on the lead pirate ship. The combined barrage overwhelmed their shields and ripped through their hull. The ship went dark, tumbling away. Before the other 2 could react, the Resilient was past them and accelerating hard in a new direction. By the time they reoriented, we had a significant lead. They are breaking off, the sensor operator reported. Returning to base. The bridge stayed silent for a long moment. Then someone whooped and suddenly everyone was celebrating. Helena allowed herself a small smile. Good work, everyone. Set course for Station Nexus. Best speed. She turned to me. You okay, Vekron? You look pale. I am fine. Just processing. You did good. Most civilians would have panicked. I was panicking on the inside. She laughed. So were we? We just hide it better. The return journey seemed impossibly long despite our speed. I kept expecting pirate ships to appear, weapons blazing, but we made it back without further incident, dropping into normal space near Station Nexus, with the kind of dramatic timing only humans seemed capable of. The Council convened immediately to hear our report. Helena stood before them, composed and professional, and described everything we had found. The destroyed transport, the survivors, the pirate base, the prison camp full of Vrynn captives. The chamber was silent when she finished. Then Ambassador Koloth stood. His carapace was brighter than I had ever seen it. Stress markers faded. The Vrynn Collective owes Earth a debt. You risked yourselves for our people. You found them when we could not. You fought to bring the information back. This is honor beyond measure. We just did what was right, Helena said simply. But thank you. The Collective formally requests Earth's assistance in planning the rescue operation. Your insights would be invaluable. Helena looked to Keisha, who nodded. We would be honored to help. The council session ended with authorization for a joint rescue mission. Multiple species volunteering ships and personnel. The humans had done more than locate survivors. They had united the council around a common purpose. Later that evening, I found Keisha at the human embassy. You knew this would happen, did not you? You knew that helping the Vrynn would change how other species see humans. We hoped, she admitted, but we really did just want to help. The political benefits are secondary. You could have died. All of you. We could die crossing the street back on Earth. Risk is part of life. We just choose what risks are worth taking. I shook my head in wonder. You are all completely insane. Probably. But we are your insane Deathworlders now. Better get used to it. The joint rescue mission launched a week later. 50 ships from a dozen species, coordinated by human tactical planning. It was over in hours. The pirates, faced with overwhelming force, surrendered without a fight. 174 Vrynn crew members were recovered alive. The victory celebration lasted for days. The humans were toasted, honored, praised by species that had barely acknowledged them months before. Even the skeptics had to admit that Earth brought something valuable to the galactic community. I watched from the sidelines as Marcus Webb returned for the celebration, stood with Keisha and Helena receiving commendations from Council Prime Mektara. They looked pleased but not surprised, as if this outcome had been inevitable. Still think we are too dangerous? Marcus asked me later, that familiar slight smile on his face.
I think you are dangerous, I said honestly.
But maybe that is not a bad thing. The galaxy has been safe for so long we forgot that safety requires vigilance. You reminded us. We did not come here to teach lessons. I know. You came to make friends. Mission accomplished, by the way. He laughed. Thanks, Vekron. That means a lot coming from you. As I watched the humans mingle with representatives from across the galaxy sharing stories and laughter, I realized something fundamental had changed. The galactic community had been a collection of species coexisting peacefully, but separately. We cooperated when necessary but maintained careful distance. The humans did not understand distance. They dove in head first, making connections, building relationships, treating strangers like family. It was reckless and beautiful and terrifying all at once. Maybe that was what we needed. Someone to shake us out of our comfortable complacency. Someone to remind us that community meant more than just coexistence. It meant actually caring about each other. And if that someone happened to be apex predators from a Deathworld, well, stranger things had happened in the galaxy, though admittedly not many.